Good evening. Welcome to Table Talk. Today's talk is about BPO operations and BPO industry of Pakistan. And we're very fortunate to have with us Muhammad Hussain. He is part of a BPO industry, and he has given us his time today, and we are very grateful to Muhammad Hussain, who has joined us to tell us about BPO industry in general, and then BPO of Pakistan, and then how does one becomes part of this industry. So if you're looking for a job or you're looking for a career positions, do not give away today. It's a very important talk, and if you want to build your career as a in the BPO industry, please watch this video till the end. Muhammad Hussain, thank you very much for coming to the show today. And let me ask you this very bluntly, that could you give yourself a smart introduction of yourself first, please?
First off, thank you so very much for having me here. So it's a pleasure to be here. I've been following your work for the last 3 months or so, and
Right.
I've seen your work on content and marketing, and even for jobs. So I really wanted to discuss the BPO jobs and the BPO industry itself for the upcoming people over in the youth. My name is Mohammed Hussain. I've been in this industry for a decade. 2009, it was really a dark era. People would really, be afraid when you talk about call centers or night job. They would be like, "Hey, you work at night." And now, fast forward 10 years, due to big brands such as Touchstone and Ibex, so now people are really aware what call centers really are, and everywhere you can see in every locality there is one center now. So the jobs
Wonderful.
are really popular. People are aware about call centers. So I had started my career as a sales rep in a small call center. I worked on multiple campaigns, and now I'm an HR manager. I do a lot of training and development for these young people and young professionals.
Wonderful. So let me ask you this, for a layman, what is BPO stands for? Sorry for being ignorant.
That is a really excellent question. I really want to address that because, for example, if I talk about Rawalpindi, you go to Nadra on the Murray Road, right?
Right.
So you enter that building. It's called the Computer Park. There are 16 call centers. All of them have XYZ name, XYZ BPO,
Okay.
XYZ BPO. So what does this BPO stand for? Business Process Outsourcing, right? It's a
Okay.
business and you have a lot of functions: HR, sales, marketing, customer support. One of those functions are supposed to be outsourced, and they are outsourced in the form of call centers in Pakistan. A lot of companies are doing this for supply chain, for HR, for marketing, but in Pakistan, we do it for telesales or customer support. BPO stands
Okay.
for Business Process Outsourcing, and over here it could be offshoring as well. Those companies in US, they could send those processes, call center telemarketing, in South Asia, Latin America, even Africa, Jamaica, and Philippines and Pakistan. Philippines is number one. I want to make
Right.
this one over here. They have 14% of their GDP. 14% of the GDP of Philippines as a nation
Wonderful.
is coming from call centers. India
Wonderful.
has so huge infrastructure for BPOs. Infosys is a big name, right? So
Right.
Cognizant is there, Infosys is there, Tata is there. They have all these connections to these outsourcing services. And I see Pakistan as a really future potential for this. It's not just going to be limited to call centers right now.
Right. So is that, let me ask you bluntly, are we too late to be part of this industry? Because you see the Philippine market has developed and they are making so much money. Same is the case with India. I'm sure they are the back office of the world. And are we too late? What do you see? How do you see being an HR professional of BPO industry?
Honestly, sir, IT industry in India is ahead, right? We know that
Right.
Google is there, Facebook is there, Microsoft is there, and here as well. But over there, they have huge corporate head offices. Even Netflix office is there. Amazon
Right.
office is there. We don't even have Amazon, right? So IT industry is there. BPO industry was long there, early 2000s. And it's really popular even in Hollywood movies. When you call a call center in Hollywood movies, it's Datika from Delhi, India. How can I help you? The Americans, when they think about call center, they think about India. The Americans,
Right.
when they think about call center, they think about India, and they are really they hate that speaking skills, or they hate that, in a blunt way, dialect or accent. This is where Pakistani market. has to capitalize. We are educated, we have youth, and we can speak in neutral dialect. These three things brings Pakistani talent in the market. Philippines is very good, but their education level is actually below us. They cannot work on software sales, for example. They cannot work on complex products. Our people are so talented. They work on bigger products, bigger corporates, bigger chains, and even unfortunately, this is really sad, they work on very big scams. So Pakistani talent is really huge on this. If they
All
are
right,
actually
wonderful. So we are one thing we learned that's it's a great time for Pakistan to be become part of BPO industry because we have something. There is endowment in the country, and one is that if we have more educated youth than Philippines. In terms, we have a better business acumen than many. So if there is a advantage that we have, we should leverage on it. So let me ask you this: do you just consider BPO is only the call center, or there are other components are part of the BPO operations in Pakistan?
as I initially stated, that BPO is a process out of all the businesses. It could be a lot of
Okay.
process. One of those is call centers. It could be what we have generally in Pakistan. Let's talk about those for overseas. What we have here in the IT BPOs, we have sometimes software development, we have technical support, customer call support, sales call centers are a lot of there. We have even recruitment as a BPO service. So all these services that we can provide over here online, remotely, even virtual assistants, they are working
Okay.
as BPOs. You can hire
Wonderful.
a trained virtual manager, insurance manager, or a digital marketing manager, and he can work for overseas companies. So we have a lot of options for outsourcing. Currently, these are there. Hopefully, more can come in with respect to supply chain, offshores. A lot can come in, but currently we have call centers and these recruitment or call-based jobs.
All right, wonderful. So let me ask you this: how does you segregate Pakistani call center industry? Are there any branded or unbranded? Are there any local or international? How do you look at the industry?
Great way, a great question, sir. You want to divide the market segments. So
Right.
yes, even today, a lot of people think about call centers. Either they think about big money, right? Oh, this
Right.
guy works in the call center, he's earning a lot. At the same
Okay.
time, a lot of people are working in call centers and they're not really earning anything. So
Right.
what's the disparity here? Actually, there are segments, like you said, there are actually segments. There are branded segments. There are corporates working in. And those corporates have complete defined structure, defined products, and defined business. Therefore, they have decent money, decent business going in, and their employees are really favored. But when you talk about smaller segments, they have outsourced products. They don't even have their own products. Those
Okay.
corporates can have their own products. But the outsourced products for smaller centers have smaller money, smaller business, smaller revenue, and therefore the employees can get a really a very negligible amount of salary. Similarly, another segment over here is domestic centers. We have a lot of domestic centers everywhere. There are there globally, everywhere there are their own language domestic centers for their domestic customer service sales. For example, you have a lot of calls coming in from Telenor. You have a lot of calls
Right.
coming from the telcos. Telenor is there. Jazz. I use Telenor, by the way, so I get a lot of from Telenor. You can get from Ufone. You can get from Jazz. There are a lot of. I use my favorite bank is actually UBL. Nothing really to promote here, but I call UBL a lot. Telebanking is there. So a lot of domestic call centers are there. I call Kareem a lot. So Kareem local call center is also there.
Okay. So the call center it has a very big segment, which is the local, and then there are international
International.
call centers. Let me ask you a very blunt question. Being an HR person, do you think is there a career opportunity to become call center professional, or it is just a very small job, which is a stop shop that if you do not find anything else, let's start a call center job and develop well and look for a permanent job or a job which can get you a career. Is there any career
That is actually a really big question mark over here. A
right?
lot of people have this misconception that it's a short-term career, you're free, you're unemployed, you can jump in and you can work.
Right.
And that is where they have a lot of problem here. it's their short-term thinking that brings them in problems. That's why they, after a month or 2 months or 3 months, they will quit. But if you go for a longer haul, if you go for a bigger haul, and you have a long-term plan for this, you can actually work in different departments. You can start with the basic, the frontline operations, and then you can move to middle management. Ultimately, you might have your own business, your own center, or you may, start alternative substitute products such as data products, such as voice over internet protocol, VoIP product. These are substitute industries. So we need
Okay.
to see that the whole industry, and there are different levels of jobs over here. It's not just a short-term job. If you think it's a short-term job, that's where people get actually stuck. People have made careers out of it.
Okay, wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very heartening to know that call center job is just not a temporary solution. If you become part of a call center industry, it offers you a wonderful career. You become team lead, you become head of the operations, you become director, and
You
even
move to department.
maybe you can have your own entrepreneurial venture in the call center industry of Pakistan. Very, very interesting. What I learned from my experience is that the call center industry, local call center industry, they don't pay much. That the salary is very limited, and that is one of the blame that the local call center industry gets. That they don't have a very good pay package. Is that true? That the local call center industry does not really offers a very lucrative package?
Yes, to start off, like I initially started with, there are different segments. Number one could be the local one, the morning ones, the centers for our local companies, the telcos and the banks. Unfortunately, they will not pay you enough, but it's gonna be a morning job. It's a really desperate amount of population do work there.
Okay.
So a lot of women are actually working there. So that's why you can hear a lot of women calling you in Urdu. So they are there for their family income, right? So
Right.
that is one segment. When you talk about the international ones, they're in the night. Again, then what product are they selling? What project are they working on? If they, it's a huge software business, it's a huge software sales, SaaS, software as a sales service. That product is huge. That domain is totally different, and they
Okay.
pay you starting they pay you 50 above.
Okay.
That is that
Wonderful.
big.
Right.
And then the smaller segment, their max goes to 35, or based upon their sale compensation, if you're really good, you hit 100. If you're
Okay.
really good in sales compensation, you hit 100. But the general compensation is 20 to 30.
Okay, so in other words, the call center operations are not that very simple. And as you mentioned earlier, that there are call centers who are not doing, who are in a temporary business, which is a scam. I know many call centers in Pakistan who came for 6 months. They were selling a product which was not a product to begin with. There was no backing. They were claiming that you will save so much on your electricity. So that kind of call centers has really earned a bad repute for the industry itself. That you open up something small and then you hire a team and then you put them to some unethical sales and you make a false claim which is not true to begin with. Now that sort of call center has really, given have earned a bad repute to the call center industry of Pakistan. If somebody wants to become part of call center industry, what are some of the steps that you recommend so that individual who's looking for a job wants to build a career and sort of scan the call center he is she is interviewing so that he or she works for a call center which is a branded and not a scam one.
Thank you for bringing that up. That is really the dark side of call centers I want to talk about.
Okay.
A lot of our youth, they go to call centers. Sometimes they're really, really disappointed. Sometimes they are scammed, or sometimes they are even working on scam campaigns, and that's disappointing. And that has really made a bad name for the call centers, not just in Pakistan, globally. One of
Okay.
our really huge brand actually used to sell fake degrees in
Right.
US. They were calling in US. They were even actually torturing, or using sort of online extortion and selling fake degrees. So
Right.
once you are going to a call center, first thing is foremost, you need to study their business model. Start with
Okay.
their website, start with their LinkedIn page. Sometimes they don't even have a website, sometimes their website is incomplete, sometimes they don't have any social media pages. Bring in more internal networks. If you can find local references for those centers, try with references. These are basic job hunting techniques. It's not even, I'm going to be really specific about call center, there are a lot of other jobs. You have to, firstly start with the website, with the LinkedIn pages, the social media pages, then internal network contacts, what they actually do, and you realize what's going on. Because if sometimes there is a huge company in unfortunately Pindi over here, you write its name on Google, hardly people do not write it, and they go for the job interviews. You write that name and you see it's a scam on YouTube. So,
Okay.
start with basic networking skills, researching skills. You get the idea what kind of product is there. And when you're on the interview table, you can ask the interviewer, hey, sir, could you explain me what's the product? Could you tell me what do you sell? How legit is it? You can ask these questions.
Okay, wonderful. So it's a very, very good insight, ladies and gentlemen. As our friend says today, that if you are going for a call center interview, make sure you do some internal analysis first. Make sure you ask around for references, and it's okay to ask question that what is the product, what is your legal
They will like
identity.
it. They will appreciate if you are trying to ask about the product. Okay, this guy is asking about our product. They like that. You're asking
Okay,
about my product. I like
yeah.
that.
So very interesting. It's so here it is that if you are looking for a call center job, be very very alert in terms of asking the call center managers what is the product they are selling, what is their legal presence, and ask for references. So it is very good to ask and ask what are different projects they are doing. The project that they are doing will really give you an idea what sort of business they are in. Here is a question from Osama Latif. The worst type of outbound call centers. Here are those who take campaigns from other call centers who have their own agents or bookies. They are so much wish. Could you explain what is inbound call center and outbound call center first before you take this question, please?
A really good question. Inbound and outbound is pretty easy. Inbound is when the call comes to you. You pick up the
Okay.
call. And generally, it's a customer service. Generally, it's what when you pick up the call, you say, "Thank you for calling in, and how can I help you?" So their
Okay.
main purpose is to assist you. They will always ask you to help you, right? Outbound is when you're calling someone hi, hello, blindly. They don't know you're calling them. Hi, Mr. Ansir, how are you doing? So I'm calling to let you know that we have a new product and a new service, and we want to sell you this. So that
Okay.
is, I'm calling you bluntly. You are unaware. I got your number randomly, and I'm calling you random and spontaneously, and I'm calling you to sell something. That is generally outbound when the call goes outside. Inbound, its call comes in, and it's for customer support. So
Okay.
these are two different domains. Outbound is more of sale based. Inbound is always based on customer satisfaction. They pay you with respect to the key metrics over here. The KPI over here is customer satisfaction. Outbound is how much sales you make. So these
All right.
two are different domains. As far as my brother's question over here is a really valid question. So how you take a project, how you take a campaign, how you take a product is what matters. Like I said, ask about the product. So similarly, he said the centers that take products from somewhere else, outsourcing from a local market and selling it to US from third party. So the more number of brokers or parties get involved, the more
Okay.
number of the brokers and the parties get involved in the distribution chain, it reduces the profit margin. And at that time, those small centers, they take it, those projects, and these projects, the client, the broker can run away. The agreements can close.
Okay.
They can have conflicts, and then they don't pay their agents. They close their call centers and run away. These kind of issues happen with really small centers when they don't have their own products.
Okay, wonderful. So here is another question before. So in other words, you know, are you against the cold call type of call centers where people have to make cold calls? It is because in our it's not heard. It's not a very common thing in Pakistan. Cold calling, but cold calling in other countries are very common. You receive a lot of calls, unsolicited calls are cold calling. Are you in favor of this kind of business?
Uh, Now, this is very
Right.
because most centers we have here, they are selling insurances on cold calls.
All right.
and I have worked on those, and the customers do not really like that.
Right.
So I cannot really, be judgmental about it that that is really bad because that is our actually business. This is
Right.
helping our economy, our families at the same time. Over there
True.
in the US, customers they obviously don't like cold calls, but cold calling is a way of making sales. I would
Right.
recommend working on prospects. Sales management has a number one term is prospecting, looking for business intelligence, and then making a warm call to sell that product. That is the best way. However, we have here is outbound sales cold calls.
Very good. So I'm sure the lists are there. I was part of that industry. We used to get lists, and sometimes the lists are not very, lists are tempered, and lists do not really represent, and it's very difficult to check valid list. So if I get a bad list and it becomes a more of a cold calling rather than a solicited call, so I understand it's a part of the business,
That's the
but
data business.
so
Like
my
you,
defense to that is, yeah, my defense to that is if I'm traveling 10 kilometer on a highway in Islamabad, I received 50 billboards which I don't want to receive. I don't want to see those billboards, but they are being bombarded. I want to see all the ads. If I open my TV, I receive an ad which I don't want to see every 5 minutes. So it's the business is tricky. It is not that
and you
simple.
don't want that call all the time coming in.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
mean,
even as a call center veteran now, sometimes even I get outbound calls even from Philippines. They are selling me financial products. Hey sir, because they check your profile on LinkedIn, they do study you online, and then they call me for sir, hi, are you interested for stock exchange? So these are calls are coming to me from Philippines, and I'm like, I actually expected a decent call coming in. Please don't give me an outbound sales call. I work in a center. I know how you operate. Don't call me. So people do not really prefer outbound calls unless it's actually with respect to your business. So let's just say I call Mr. Ansel Rajput with respect to training, with respect to some interviews, with respect to some invites for educational purposes. It's his
right,
business. So he will like that call. You will actually wait for such calls. Okay, it's coming
right,
with respect to my business. But if I call you for a random product which you're totally not interested, like those billboards, you don't like it. People like what they are interested in. So if you're calling for a particular business, that's okay. But if you're calling randomly, that's really turn off.
right. True, very true. So, I mean, this in a perfect world, you will make a call where person is expecting a call, but on an imperfect world, you will receive a call. You will make a call which is not the recipient side is not very ready to receive that call, and that is the chances that you have to
I
take.
would like to add here this the person who's ready to receive that call. So
Right,
nowadays, what is also happening? This is the new domain here. Digital marketing companies and call centers they are working together.
right,
So a lot of customers they like some products, maybe real estate products, maybe social products, maybe TV products. They run those Facebook ads, and then they get their data and they sell it to call centers. And now these call center people will call those customers, and then it's a complete sale. That is a
right.
complete sale.
So
Those
there
are
is
the
a
expected type of calls.
so this is more of a scientific prospecting where you already know that
Yes,
the
we are generating leads
that
and
the
prospecting.
that the lead has been some way informed, maybe a small note on the Facebook page that if you are
Even a
interested,
like.
right, even thumb impression, even they ask you for, could you accept that cookies? And that cookie has a built-in function which says that if you receive this cookie, it means you are willing to receive a call from us.
Your data
So
is being
I mean,
shared.
it's a very thin line, my friend. I understand. So here is a question for you, Hussein. Muhammad Omar Sharif asks, which are the important things to get a job?
Excellent question, Umair. This is a very HR related question.
Right,
Obviously, if you do some background research before going to any interview, if you know about the company's business model, if you have checked their website out, if you have checked their latest updates, people like to talk to about their products, about their business. They love it. If you have done some background research on it, you can talk to them. Number one, some research is always critical. Number two, what we call vasta or contacts. is actually more of networking. If you build networks, you go to expos, exhibitions, you make friends, you go to conferences, you can create those networks. You can ask for referrals from your own teachers, build a network to go to that particular organization. Number three, your resume. Number four, how you communicate with confidence, with information, authenticity, because you know what you're talking about. That builds interviews, that takes interviews to next level. There is a lot we can actually discuss here. Your LinkedIn profile is there. There is a complete module I have on this, Umair.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, that I will do someday that module with you, inshallah, Hussein. I would just want to add the following: is the job itself is it's a very big domain. At what level you stand, if you are an entry level position, I tell you the most important thing for you is to look for is somebody who teaches you how to develops you, who trains you to do a job. A university graduate is equipped with some general tools, but not a specific tool for professional life. So I usually tell people, please do not ask salary. Ask them, are they going to give you opportunity to develop yourself? Are they going to invest in you? And I'm a big fan of Touchstone because Touchstone takes a painful step by teaching you how to run or
Training
become part
module.
of call center. So they give you a very comprehensive orientation, which is called, maybe you can call it training, and they will not put you to work unless you are trained and qualified there, accent trainings and a basic routine
Really
that.
big centers, they are providing this training. If you're looking for a branded center of a top-notch center, they will provide you authentic, complete training, at least a 10 days module. Unfortunately, the small ones, they will give you a simple piece of paper and they will, simple, muck it up because Pakistanis are experting in mucking up, memorizing things. They will give you and muck it up. But when you're on the floor, you don't know how to talk to people. So when a center is, investing in training and development, that is a place where you want to work in. It's not just about centers. Any business that has a complete solid training and development department. I'm a training development professional. Any business that has that department is actually investing in the future of their employees, and that is where you will learn a lot. That is where you should try to go for. I know there are a lot of opportunities which are really small scale, but if they are not training you completely, you will have a turnover, you will have a burnout, you will switch jobs. That is a problem. But a complete training and development department, there again, another function they have is employee retention and employee engagement. So look for those
Right.
organizations for call centers. You named it right. Touchstone is there, Cybrid is there, Work by JT is there. I personally did those complete training modules. Even if you want trainings, you can even do those online, right? On YouTube, there is a trainer, Ria Ninja from Philippines. Even I plan to do those. I do some communication trainings online, so you can complete trainings online as well.
So I think that's a wonderful insight that if you are looking for a call center position, maybe you should ask the company where is your training and development department. If it is
How
only
long
say
it's
the
going to be training?
recruitment
Is it
department,
paid
it
or is
means
it
they
not
don't have a
paid?
training. So I think this is a great insight, Hussain, that I think the company who has a budget for training and development, it's the company who is serious to develop you.
They're
Um,
serious.
you mentioned that there is a high turnover in the call center industry. Why? What do you think? Why the call center industry has high turnover? Being a professional in this industry.
I'm going to refer to a research conducted by, I think, Foundation University. Yeah, Fauci Foundation University in
Okay.
Islamabad. They conducted this research probably on a bigger call center. Again, I refer to, use those names. It's a really powerful call center. Again, you might have even named it over here. They also did the same research with that company. Why do you have a high turnover? And the key thing that they found out is training.
Oh,
A lot
really?
of small centers, they have 3 days training and people leave. Bigger centers, they might even have a month-long training and sometimes they're unpaid. That again demotivates. You're going for a work, you're going for training, and you don't know you'll be hired and you'll be paid or not. So that is again a demotivator. But training is really necessary.
Okay. We are in the last leg of our session today. So, if somebody is convinced and wants to become part of your lovely industry, Oh, what will be the first three steps that you will recommend to our listeners today?
if they want to join call centers. Number one,
Yes,
unfortunately, a lot of people come in from different perspectives. If
right.
if you have an education that is really technical in nature, I would recommend please pursue your own career, right?
Oh, wonderful,
Do not
wonderful.
consider it a short-term job. I'll join a call center. That is really disappointing to you as well. It's not just disappointing to the HR. After few months, you will leave the company. You're an accountant. You're working in a call center, and then later on, you get a call center accountant job. You will leave that. So always prefer working in your own industry. If you have a 4 year degree in software, please go to a software industry, not to a call center, because that will demotivate you. That will also not look good in your resume that you were working in a call center, you were a software developer, you were a programmer, and you're working in a call center. So first off, prefer your own domain, your own expertise if you have expertise. Number one would be that. Number two, I would say if you have communication skills, you would like to work in a center, you want to develop your skills, that's where you're gonna come in. And more importantly, also get the idea that you will have to stay awake whole night. A lot of people, young people, they come in and after 3 nights they realize, oh my God, I signed up for the wrong thing. So call center is going to be hard. People think it's easy, sir. I can stay awake at night. Oh, really? How do you stay awake at night? I watch movies. Okay. And
Right.
how do you stay awake at night? I study at night for exams. That is, you study one night. Please understand there is a psychology and real biology. People do not consider that there is real psychology and real biology, even from the Quranic perspective, that it's very
Okay.
hard to stay awake at night and work. And therefore, this will avoid your turnover.
Very nice. I think this is a very key insight. If you have a professional qualification such as computer science, the lesson that we learned today is if you enjoy that degree, if you are a computer science professional, you are passionate about your skill. If you are engineer and you are passionate engineer, the market is as such that there is not job enough. Don't join call center. Stay focused on what you are. This is a very well. Second thing that Hussain
Even if
mentioned
you
is,
are engineer, even if you're engineer, you can try to work on technical support centers. So see where you're applying actually.
yeah, wonderful insight. That says that if you are a technical mind and wants to be a technical mind, want to build a career as a technical professional, look for a call center which offer tech support.
Tech
Similarly,
support.
the one thing that I
There
really
are health
appreciate from
support
Hussain is that
centers in India as well. Health support. They are doing medical billing. So if you are into pharmacy, you can try for those opportunities. You know more about medication and health businesses. See
wonderful.
products.
Similarly, also one thing on a lighter side, he said that if you are not a night person, do not join this industry. It requires you to work in night, and I'm sure I know
A
many
lot of
people who are
married people they come in, and it's very hard for married people, right? Family
okay.
people. It's very hard for them.
Right, right, wonderful. How do you summarize today's session? Because we are in the really last minute of your session. What do you suggest to people in the last minute?
Call center is not really that bad. You just need to identify where you really fit in. Can you do this? And you have to have your own research. There is bad side, no denying it. But if you do not do research, you're going to be stuck in a loophole.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, Hussain. We conclude today's session with Muhammad Khawar's comment. Thanks for information session about BPO industry. Thank you very much, audience, for watching this program. We will come very soon again with a new topic that is how do you build yourself on LinkedIn? How do you brand yourself to LinkedIn? And I'll please watch our Facebook page. We'll post the event date very soon, inshallah. Take care. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.